Rick Glaser, international agent, broker, and consultant on the line, giving the fans an update on Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence. We're trying to let you guys know what's going on, what's up with the negotiations. Is the fight happening? Is the fight not happening? Rick, it's all you. Take it away.
Well, I don't have any involvement at all. It's just I'm hearing bits and pieces from various sources, and they're a long way apart in every category, not just money, terms, which is always very important in major fights. Example, that Spence wants a rematch clause, but he doesn't want to give Terrence one. Give Crawford one, and Crawford's insisting upon one. And Crawford is duly entitled to one due to the fact that he's I would call him almost legendary, if not legendary, three division world champ, undefeated, pound for pound, one, at least one or two, and a champion himself. And there's no reason not to do a rematch. It's the most amount of money for Spence is this fight, and it's the most amount of money in a rematch for Spence. So there's nobody else for him to fight at 147 pounds. Now, could he move up to 54? He's not fighting Charlo, so there's no money at 54 unless he's going to fight Charlo. So he might as well do a rematch clause. I know that he wants to be in control and everything else. Al Heyman's insisting on three options. Well, man down there, Spence calls himself with his man down promotions that he's the promoter. Well, if he's the promoter, then why is his advisor demanding three options for himself on Crawford? So
those are the words of Rick Glaser. Shout out to Pound for Pound Sports Entertainment for the interview. And that was a segment of Rick Glaser explaining what's going on with the negotiations between Terrence Bud Crawford and Errol the Truth Spence. And as you guys can hear, Rick laying, due to his sources, from his sources, he is laying down what's going on. And it's not all about money, And the big thing, as you guys heard, is the rematch clause. And if the rematch clause is only one-sided, we already got a problem. I can tell you that right now, because at any time where you have Errol Spence and Errol Spence says, you know what, I get a rematch clause, but he doesn't, you have already some type of hesitancy or hesitancy to take the fight. Reluctancy. That's it. That's the word I'm looking for. And you could tell because you see that he doesn't have the confidence to make terms to make himself the confident fighter that he is actually going to win. You see, like if Errol Spence fights Terrence Crawford and loses, he gets a rematch clause. Just like Rick said, well, if that's the case, that should be a good thing. That means he gets to avenge his only loss. That means that he makes more money from doing that. He probably would make more money for the rematch. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? Or it might be 50-50 this time instead of 45-55 split or whatever it is, right? So I don't see why that's the case. If the only thing I can think about is Errol Spence, anticipates it being on his platform, possibly if it goes 12 rounds, he can get a decision. And if he does get a decision, he doesn't have to worry about Terrence Crawford anymore, so he can stop being harassed by all the people that want him to fight Terrence Crawford because it's been done. But if there's two-way rematch clauses, he's going to have to fight him anyway if he beats him, if he don't. Because if he doesn't beat him and he gets knocked out and he doesn't take the rematch clause, it will just show that he wasn't confident that he could ever beat him. He doesn't want to try again. He's going to pull a Teofimo Lopez and move up to some weight class as an excuse, as a scapegoat, something like that. But in essence, I think Terrence Crawford is a guy that's not. I don't ever think he was the holdup. I think when he was with Bob Arum, that was a problem because that was the excuse. Like, yo, you can't have this type of fight. And to clear things up for you guys, as far as the three options mean that Al Heyman wanted three other fights for Terrence Crawford or two other fights for Terrence Crawford. So basically, if he beats Errol Spence, he wants to put Terrence Crawford in with 2 other guys, and those will have to be PBC guys. So basically, he wants to do a similar deal that they tried to do with Canelo. So when Canelo beat Caleb Plant, then they wanted to add him on for 2 more fights at 50 million apiece or something like that. But he didn't take it, and he went to the zone and got beat by Bivol. I think they're trying to apply that to Terrence Crawford, because Terrence Crawford is an undefeated guy, a pound-for-pound guy, the king, a 3-division champion. So really the question you ask yourself, well, is a 3-division champion better than a 3-belt champion? Because that's what we're looking at. A 3-belt champion versus a 3-division champion. Okay? One pound-for-pound higher or highest, and the other one's a pound-for-pound mid or lower. He might be 4th or 5th, to be fair, okay? But, now mind you, to keep it 100, people, Rick Glacier's not a fan of Al Haymon. So when you hear him talk about the Al Haymon stuff, understand that. So, but don't omit what he's saying, okay? The only thing you omit what he's saying is when something you hear that sounds like an opinion. Like Errol Spence is not a star, because that was also in this interview. And I'm going to go live and we can talk about it and we'll go about it. But I wanted to tell you guys what was up on the up and up, okay, concerning these negotiations, because people want to know what the hell's going on. Like, yo, what is really going on with these guys? Why can't these guys get it together? And you would think like, hey, the money would be the main issue. You know what I mean? But then the rematch clause, rematch clauses are big issues, because that's preparation to cover yourself. What happens after the fight happens? Whoever wins and loses, what happens then? And so my thing is, Errol Spence, he can fight someone, but anybody that we really want to see, hell no. Okay, we don't want to see Keith Thurman no more. That's 4 or 5 years. That's 4 years ago. Okay, he was chasing Keith Thurman and other people were chasing him, and it made no sense to me. Okay, so I just find it strange. Also, what Rick was saying was true. If Errol Spence is the promoter, why is he giving the power to the advisor? You know why? Because the advisor is actually the guy that's calling the shots, and his name is Al Haymon. That's common knowledge. We know that about PBC fighters, Fox fighters, Showtime fighters. They're Al Haymon followers. They're Al Haymon fighters. That's what it means. Okay, now, so is Rick wrong about that? No. But again, he's not a part of the negotiation. But that tells me that he doesn't have a pony in the show. But you could definitely tell he is a Terrence Crawford fan. But that doesn't mean that you should omit the sources that is coming to him and what he's telling us. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Rick Glaser explaining the reasons due to his sources on why this fight isn't happening. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.